Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Random Crafty Acts. I'm Barb, and this is part of a series entitled Filling a Box for Operation Gratitude. I am a volunteer card maker for Operation Gratitude. I love to make cards, and because of that, I also like to donate my cards. And this series is put together to help beginning card makers. I bought this set, which I have introduced at the beginning of all of the videos in this series. And there were 50 designs to each, so 100 pieces. And while they were somewhat disconnected as far as little cups and books and mushrooms and deer, it has really been kind of fun trying to find different ways to put these together on cards. And so I am almost at the end of the stack. In fact, we may be able to finish it in this. But these are two of the four, since we get two of each, that I haven't been able to figure out what am going to do with. So I'm comfortable with setting these aside. I have grandkids who are avid readers, so these may come in handy for that. These two large hearts with the buttons, probably the biggest reason I've had trouble with these is that the colors, it's a very bland color. This is it's not really a mint green, and it's kind of a blue, and I just haven't been able to find a color or a design or something to put this on, but I'm gonna keep looking. I have two pink stamps with a flower on them. I have these two little pieces. I have these plates, and I have these mushrooms, and then I have the mushrooms in the this has a name. I don't remember what it is. I call it a glass jar. And it's kind of got some print, sort of, in the background. Okay. And then similarly, the books piled in front of kind of the same thing with mushrooms. Okay, so we're going to do several things. These first two are real simple. These were tags, and I basically came down to just putting the tags, putting this on plain background, and making these very simple cards. So this is a 4 by 5 1/4 piece. The piece in the background is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And that's why I use liquid glue, because if it doesn't fit, I can just lift it right up and try it again. If you use the double-sided tape that comes in the little plastic thing, that's not an option. Okay, and that's I've used it, but I like having the wiggle room. My air conditioner it's June. My air conditioner is running in the background. We're in the part of the country right now that is under what they're calling the heat dome, and so when the air conditioner runs, the ink, I always call this ink for some reason, the glue in the glue bottle starts to get persnickety. That's a wonderful word. You don't hear that word very often anymore, persnickety. Okay, and I'm just going to lay that on there, mostly to call attention to the bird. And then I found these. It says hello, and it's in a color palette that will kind of pull all of this together. The card bases here are a kind of paper that's it's referred to, I believe, as parchment, but it's made by Astrobrite. I think I got mine at Walmart, or at least I've seen it at Walmart. I actually probably ordered mine from Amazon because I have to ship things to my grandkids, so I have Amazon Prime. So I get free shipping. So anything I buy, I try to buy through them. But I'm basically on a no-buy right now, which is common among crafters, because we do have a tendency to get a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, I always say that when I started doing this 5 years ago, when I retired, and my first hobby after retiring was buying craft supplies. I got really good at that, and I bought everything for art journals and junk journals, and settled on into card making because it allowed me to use all of the techniques that I was learning with the other, except I created something I could do something with. So, okay, so there's those two. We started on this in the previous video, and I thought I would put it together with you. I didn't include you in figuring out how I was going to do this because it involved math, and as someone I followed in a workshop once said, I don't do public math, but it took me a while to figure out how to cut this and get these. And okay, so I think I decided that this kind of goes this way, and then this goes this way, and then we're going to use Have a Happy Day. Now we're going to have to make a decision here. If you were here with me in person, I would let you vote, but I want to show you why I made the decision that I made. I hope we're in frame here. And this is 4 1/8. The black is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and the piece I'm putting on top is 4 by 5 1/4, and they're going on the front of an A2 card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which you get by, this is just not cooperating, which you get by taking a piece of 8 1/2 by 11 cardstock and landscape wise cutting it in half. Okay, there we go. And that, my friends, is why I use liquid glue. Okay, and this is technically what's referred to as non-directional paper, meaning there's not an upside and a downside, but the way it's cut, it does seem to be that. I'm putting it on the white card base. And same thing here. Let's take a look at where my little plants are going to fall. Okay, so one of them is a little smaller than the other, but I'm going to center each of them. Okay, in looking at the pieces that I had left, one option, of course, would, since it's plant-based, would be this. But I don't really like the way the blue looks against this green. It's kind of a bluish green. I like the way the dark green looks against the green and the black. So the pink flowers are out. The plates are out, which left these. And in looking at this is what I was taking into consideration. When you put this against this, okay, the books kind of get lost. Okay? Or at least I felt like they did. So when you put this against this, notice how you can, how it kind of brings it out, and you kind of notice the white and all of that. So that's why we're going to use those. And then this is a sentiment that says, have a happy day. And I have no idea what that has to do with mushrooms from outside in a jar. except they're all plant-based. Everything on here is plant-based. So why would you not have a happy day? Okay. And then we're going to center this. We're working on this card landscape-wise. Just a little bit off. The other reason this is coming up a little more easily is that this paper, well, this paper doesn't really have a texture to it. It just looks like it does. It's because it's liquid glue. And you can use grids and everything. I have a tendency to just do what they call eyeballing it because... All right, there's 4. Okay, let's see what we have next. Let's do this. This again is a very simple one. It's using a bigger tag. Look how textured that paper is. This is 4 by 5 1/4 going against a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, 4 1/8, 5 3/8. Okay, and then this is a big tag. I have no other real use for something like this. And I am not going to put a sentiment on this one. I'm going to leave it plain. Really blowing through here. One of the reasons I'm able to work through this so quickly is I spent all morning matching paper and designs and colors, and in some cases I made a sample card just to make sure it was going to work. I know crafters who are good enough at what they do that they can go live basically and make all those decisions live. With this, what I'm doing here, I'm not quite to that point, mostly because the amount of time it takes. It's time consuming to do that. It's worth it, but it's time consuming. This matchy stuff is not going well. Okay. All right, that's better. And so the black brings out the tone here. This works well with that. This is kind of scribble writing. Okay, there's 6. All right. Looks like I saved the best for last. Okay, this one, we embossed this. And I've already embossed it. And basically what I did was took this is not the embossing folder I used, but I took a 4 by 5 1/4 and I put it inside one of these and I ran it through, and it squishes the paper. And so you have an embossed side and a debossed side. And I talked about the white core paper, and I don't know if I can get that to where you can see it, but if you look like right here, you can see where the white core, it presses it so that it kind of pulls the ink away from the paper. Okay. So we're going to do, like we did with this one, we're going to do one of the framing techniques where we take this piece and put it, pretty sure I'm not in frame, put it on our mat. And you need to flip these mats periodically so that they'll continue to be flat. With a magic mat, if you check online, there's a you can actually take a heat tool or a blow dryer if this gets too warped, and just run it over it until it gets hot. Okay, and so we're just going to set this out here in the middle because what we're looking for is the frame. And yes, we have a frame right here, but we're going to cut one anyway, just so you can see how this works. We put our mat on top. And using our Big Shot fold away, we crank that through. And I'm going to crank it twice because I've had trouble with 3 times actually. I've had trouble with this die starting to like not come all the way through. Okay, good. That piece came off. That came off and that came out. Okay. And so since this goes on top of this, nobody sees that there's a hole behind there. Okay. I didn't really need to put the glue all over the back of that. I know there are people who edit their videos so you never see how much trouble they have lining things up, but I don't really think that's fair. I mean, we're all, things, sometimes you're making something and it just goes wrong, and it helps to see how someone works their way through that. Okay, and then we just need a little bit of glue on here. And when you are working on an embossed surface, you have to keep in mind glue-wise that you want it to glue not just to the piece sticking up, but you want it to kind of move down through there. Okay, these stamp images have a little bit of purple in them, which is why I chose the shades that I did, so that we would bring those colors out. Okay, and so we end up with these. Okay, so we're at 6 cards, which puts us with 136 cards in the box. I know it seems like the cards in some respects are getting easier or moving more quickly, and that's, well, one, we have fewer choices, but secondly, it's because we did some of the more difficult things early on, and so it does get easier as you work down through it. Okay. Still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with those mushrooms in the little bell jars. So if you have not subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate it if you were doing that, would do that. You just click on the subscribe. And you won't start getting emails, you won't get texts there. It doesn't cost you anything. What it does is, since I make mention of Operation Gratitude in all of my card making videos, it pushes that information out there. So if I tag my videos as beginner friendly, and that way if someone is searching for beginner friendly card making, this will come up, and then they'll see Operation Gratitude. Okay, I can. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Get an envelope. Oh, there's another envelope. That's 8. Wow, we did more than I thought. That's 8. So that's 138, 139, 140. I like even numbers. If you're in the Operation Gratitude Facebook group, you know that Kelly South and I have gone around and around about how I get my box ready, and it's like, oh gee, I have 204 cards, and that just won't do because I need a nice even number. So, and this is what I ended up doing with the infamous pink deer that I talked about early on, not knowing what I was going to do with. So that's 8, right? Or is that 10? See, I'm so bad with numbers. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. $140 cards, which means that I'm 60 cards from having that box full. And obviously there's not 60 here. A couple of things that, and this is not a card I would do this with. You can always take something like this and put it on the inside as a decoration. You can put it on the back as a decoration. You can do the same thing here, you know, stick it on the inside. I don't know that I would with these, but if you're making cards of your own, you can put those on the back of the card, kind of like a seal, you know, it could go there. Almost matches that plaid, but I still don't know why I would use that. Okay, anyway, if you would subscribe, that would be helpful. It helps push the videos out to anybody who's looking. What will probably happen next, if I can come up with some ideas for these, I will, of course, make those cards and attach them to this series of videos. Since I need to come up with 60 cards, I'm probably gonna start doing some like the mask making, where I have a 12 by 12 piece of paper that or piece of scrapbooking paper that I can cut and come up with no scraps. This is one small portion of the scraps that we have from this, most of this endeavor. Okay. And this may be what I do next, is go in and start. There are several kind of freeform patterns that you can make when you divide these up into colors and that sort of thing. And I do enjoy doing that. So this will be one of my next projects. And mostly it's because card makers don't like to, anybody who does any kind of crafting or woodworking or anything, we don't like to throw anything away. I mean, it feels wasteful. Okay, All right. Well, thank you very much for being here with this. I hope it's helpful. If you have questions or comments, please leave them below, and I will respond. And I look forward to seeing you in returning videos. A couple of times throughout this series, I've mentioned that like the heat index that's outside and things like that. My husband does an incredible amount of gardening. If you look on if you click on Random Crafty Acts, click on the name, you'll find a playlist that shows the when the walk through the garden, and we have something like 200 different colors of daylilies out there right now, and you're welcome to watch those videos. Again, no charge, no charge to you. We just like being able to put some joy out there. Thank you very much. Come back. Hope to see you again soon.